You make $80,000 a year. Congratulations. You're a professional. You wear business casual, you have a title, you're doing okay. So here's the question. What's your real hourly wage? Most people guess $38 or $40 an hour. Some basic division. 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. Seems straightforward. But what if I told you it's actually closer to $15? What if your professional salary is paying you less per hour than a barista at Starbucks? And what if your employer, your bank, the entire system is designed so you never figure this out? I'm going to show you the math. The real math that takes into account the hours you actually get to your job, the money you actually take home, and the expenses your job actually costs you. Once you see this number, you're going to be pissed. Good. Use that. Subscribe if you're ready to see what you're really being paid. My name is Sarah, and about 6 years ago, I was making $72,000 a year in a corporate job. On paper, it looked great. In reality, I was making less per hour than I did waiting tables in college. And the day I calculated my real hourly wage was the day everything changed. Let me walk you through this. And I want you to do this math alongside me. Grab your phone, open the calculator app, because you need to see your actual number. Start with the standard calculation that everyone uses, the one your employer wants you to believe. $80,000 divided by 2,080 hours. That's 40 hours a week times 52 weeks a year. That gives you $38.46 per hour. That's what you tell people when they ask. That's what you tell yourself when you're justifying staying in a job you don't love. I'm making almost $40 an hour. That's good money. Except that's not what you're actually making, because that calculation is based on two massive lies. Lie number one, that you only give your job 40 hours per week. Lie number two, that you actually take home $80,000. Let's start with the time, because this is where most people have never actually done the math. You work 40 hours a week. Sure, but how much time does your job actually consume? Think about your commute. Let's say you live 30 minutes from work. That's reasonable, right? Maybe even optimistic for a lot of people. That's 1 hour per day, door to door. 5 hours a week. 52 weeks a year. That's 260 hours per year spent in your car or on a train or a bus, going to and from a job. You're not getting paid for that time, but you can't do anything else during that time either. It's job time. Then there's getting ready for work. You can't roll out of bed and show up in your pajamas. You've got to shower, get dressed in work-appropriate clothes, maybe do your hair or makeup, pack your lunch, get your stuff together. Even if you're efficient, that's 30 minutes every morning you wouldn't spend if you didn't have this job. That's 2.5 hours per week. About 130 hours per year. Now here's the one nobody talks about. The decompression time. You get home from work and you're fried. You can't immediately jump into productive personal tasks. You need to decompress. Maybe you mindlessly scroll on your phone for 30 minutes. Maybe you stare at the TV. Maybe you just sit there. That's not leisure. That's recovery from work. If you didn't have the job, you wouldn't need the recovery. Let's say that's 1 hour per workday, 5 hours per week, 260 hours per year. And then there's the weekend work that nobody wants to admit. The emails you check on Saturday morning, the project you think about on Sunday afternoon, the work calls you take on your day off. Even if you're good at boundaries, you're probably giving your job at least 2 hours per weekend. That's another 104 hours per year. Let's add it up. Your official work hours, 2,080. Commute, 260. Getting ready, 130. Decompression, 260. Weekend work, 104. Your job is actually consuming 2,834 hours of your year, not 2,080, 2,834. Let that sink in. You're giving your job 36% more time than you're being paid for. You're working a free day and a half every single week. But we're not done, because we haven't even gotten to the money yet. You make $80,000. That's your gross salary. But gross is not what shows up in your bank account. Gross is what they use to make you feel successful while they take their cut. Let's break this down together. Do the math with me. Federal income tax. If you're single, making 80 grand in 2026, after the standard deduction, you're paying about $10,500 in federal income tax. Could be more depending on your state and situation, but let's use that number. State, Income tax. This varies wildly. Some states have no income tax. Others take a big bite. Let's assume a 5% effective state tax rate. That's $4,000. FICA, Social Security and Medicare. That's 7.65% of your gross income. No way around it. That's $6,120. So far, you're down $20,620 in taxes. Your $80,000 is now $59,380. But wait, you probably have health insurance coming out of your paycheck. Even with employer contributions, you're likely paying $200 to $300 per month for a decent plan. Let's say $250. That's $3,000 per year. Take home $56,380. If you're smart, you're contributing to your 401k. Let's say you're doing the recommended 10%. That's $8,000 per year. Now, this is your money. You're not losing it, but you can't spend it today. So for the purposes of your real hourly wage, the money available to you right now, we need to account for it. Available income, $48,380. Sit with that for a second. You make $80,000, but you have less than $50,000 available to actually spend. You've already lost 40% before you even buy groceries. Now let's talk about job expenses. The money you have to spend specifically because you have this job. Your work wardrobe. You can't wear gym clothes to the office. You need professional attire. Even if you're not buying expensive suits, you're spending money on work-appropriate clothes. Let's say you spend $100 a month on average. Replacing worn items, buying seasonal pieces, dry cleaning. That's $1,200 per year. Your commute costs, if you're driving, you're paying for gas. The IRS estimates it costs 67 cents per mile to operate a vehicle, when you factor in gas, maintenance, insurance, and depreciation. If your commute is 30 minutes each way, that's probably 20 miles per day. That's 5,000 miles per year, just for commuting. 5,000 miles times 67 cents. That's $3,350 per year just to get to work and back. If you're taking public transportation, you're probably paying $100 to $200 per month. That's $1,200 to $2,400 per year. Either way, you're spending thousands of dollars just to show up. Lunch. If you're packing your lunch every single day, good for you. But be honest. You're buying lunch at least 2 or 3 times a week. Maybe it's $10 or $12. Let's say you average $10 per day, 3 days a week. That's $30 per week, about $1,500 per year. And coffee. If you're stopping for coffee on the way to work or during your break, that's another $5 per day. Let's say 3 times a week. That's $15 per week, about $750 per year. I know. You're thinking, but Sarah, I could pack my lunch and make coffee at home. And you're right, you could. But the question is, would you need to if you didn't have this job? These are convenience purchases driven by the constraints of your work schedule. Let's add up your job expenses. Wardrobe, $1,200. Commute, $3,350. Lunch, $1,500. Coffee, $750 per year in expenses you have directly because of your job. Now here's where it gets real. Take your available income of $48,380. Subtract your job expenses of $6,800. Your net job income is $41,580. That's the money you actually have available to live your life after your job takes its time and its costs. Now, divide that by the hours your job actually consumes. $41,580 divided by 2,834 hours. Your real hourly wage is $14.67. Read that again. Your $80,000 professional job is paying you less than $15 per hour in real terms. You know what the federal minimum wage should be if it kept pace with productivity since 1970? About $25 per hour. You're making 60% of what minimum wage should be. Think about that. You went to college. You got the degree. You climbed the corporate ladder. You have a title and business cards and annual reviews. And you're making $14.67 per hour. This is the salary illusion. And it's brilliant in an evil sort of way. Because when someone asks what you make, you say $80,000. And that sounds impressive. That sounds like you're doing well. But nobody asks about your real hourly wage. Nobody asks how much of your life you're actually trading for that salary. Nobody asks what it costs you to earn that money. And here's the thing that really gets me. Your employer knows this. They know exactly what they're doing when they quote you an annual salary instead of an hourly rate. Because $80,000 sounds a lot better than $14.67 per hour. $80,000 makes you feel professional. $14.67 makes you feel like you're barely getting by. Which is exactly what you are. The banks know it too. When you apply for a mortgage or a car loan, they ask for your gross income, not your take-home, not your real hourly wage. Gross. Because gross makes you look like you can afford more than you actually can. The whole system is designed to hide your real wage from you. Because if you knew what you were really making, you'd make different choices. You'd negotiate harder. You'd be pickier about jobs. You'd think twice before taking a position that requires a long commute, or expensive work wardrobe, or constant availability. You'd realize that the assistant manager job at Costco that pays $28 per hour, 40 hours per week, 10 minutes from your house, no wardrobe requirements, no take-home work, is actually paying you more than your $80,000 corporate position. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, okay, Sarah, but this is depressing. What am I supposed to do? Quit my job and work retail? No. Well, maybe. Depends on your situation. But that's not the point. The point is that once you know your real hourly wage, you can make informed decisions. You can optimize. Let me give you 3 steps you can take this week to start increasing your real hourly wage. Step 1, calculate your actual number. This week, sit down and do this math for your specific situation. Pull your last pay stub. Look at your actual take-home. Track your actual hours for 1 week. Write down every minute you give to your job. Commute, getting ready, evening emails, weekend thoughts about work. All of it. Calculate your job-specific expenses. What do you spend on your commute? Your wardrobe? Food at work? Really look at it. Then run the formula. Take home minus job expenses, divided by total job hours. That's your real hourly wage. And here's the critical part. Don't just do this once and forget about it. This number needs to be in your head every time you make a career decision, every time you consider a new job, every time you negotiate a raise. Step 2, audit your job ROI over the next 30 days. Now that you know your real hourly wage, you need to ask yourself a hard question. Is this job worth it? Are you earning a fair rate for your skills and experience? Could you earn more per real hour somewhere else? What would happen if you optimized your job for real hourly wage instead of gross salary? Here are some options to consider. Could you negotiate remote work and eliminate your commute? That alone would add back 260 hours per year. If you did nothing else, your real hourly wage just increased by $1.50 per hour. Could you move closer to work? Cut your commute in half. That's 130 hours back. Another 75 cents per hour. Could you negotiate a 4-day work week at 90% salary? You'd take a 10% pay cut in gross terms, but you'd get back 52 days per year. Your real hourly wage might actually go up. Or here's a crazy thought. Could you ask for a 20% raise? Most people vastly underestimate their value because they're thinking in terms of gross salary, not real hourly wage. If you're making $14.67 per hour in real terms and you provide $30 per hour in value, you're giving your employer a 100% discount on your labor. When you look at it that way, asking for 20% more doesn't seem greedy. It seems like you're just closing the gap between what you're worth and what you're being paid. Step 3, increase your real wage over the next 90 days. Your goal is to get your real hourly wage above $20 within 90 days. Ideally above $25 within 6 months. You've got 2 levers to pull. Increase your take-home or decrease your time and expenses. Increasing take-home. Negotiate a raise. Find a new job that pays more. Start a side income with a better hourly return. If you have a skill you can monetize remotely for $40 or $50 per hour with no commute and no expenses, that's almost triple your current real wage. Decreasing time and expenses, work remotely, move closer, optimize your schedule. Set hard boundaries on work hours. Batch your errands so you're not constantly running around after work. Every hour you get back is worth $14.67 that you can now spend on something that actually matters to you. Every dollar you save on job expenses is a dollar you get to keep. The goal is not to hate your job or quit in a rage. The goal is to see clearly so you can make smart choices. I did this calculation 6 years ago. I was making $72K in a corporate marketing job. I thought I was doing pretty well. Then I calculated my real hourly wage, $16.80. I was making less than $17 per hour with a college degree and 5 years of experience. I sat with that number for about a week. And then I started looking. Within 3 months, I found a remote position paying $65,000. Gross salary actually went down, but my real hourly wage went up to almost $28 per hour because I cut my commute to zero, eliminated most of my job expenses, and got back 15 hours per week. A year later, I was freelancing, making about the same gross income as my first corporate job. But my real hourly wage was over $45 because I controlled my time and my expenses. That's the power of knowing your real number. You stop optimizing for the wrong thing. Here's what I want you to understand. You're not overpaid. You're undercompensated for your real time. The system hides this from you because if you knew, you'd demand better. But now you know. Your $80,000 salary is not a badge of honor. It's a math problem. And math problems can be solved. You're trading your life for $14.67 per hour. Is that job worth your life at that rate? Maybe it is. Maybe you love what you do. Maybe the benefits are incredible. Maybe it's a stepping stone. But you need to know. You need to see the real number so you can make real choices. If this video changed how you see your salary, hit that like button. Let me know this was valuable. And drop a comment. Tell me your gross salary. Let's calculate your real hourly wage together in the comments. I'll walk you through it. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's when everything changes. Do this calculation tonight. Grab your pay stub, track your hours, run the numbers. You need to see this. Your future self is counting on you to see this clearly.